Have you ever noticed how much empty space there is in Chinese traditional painting? At first, it feels something unfinished, like something is missing. But in Chinese art, the empty space has a name. It's called Liu Bai, literally leaving blank space. Most people think Liu Bai actually is an artistic technique, but I don't think that's the reason why it survived for thousands of years. Because Chinese painters weren't just like simply leaving spaces, they were designing with space. There is an old Chinese phrase called 记白当黑. It means treat empty spaces as carefully as ink. Think about that. The empty spaces isn't unfinished. The empty space actually is part of the painting. I think that's why Liu Bai was never just about painting. It was teaching a way of thinking. Chinese philosophy often reminds us the reality is often much bigger than your first interpretation or your first explanation. Lao Tzu wrote in 道德经, 大音希声, 大象无形. The greatest sound is almost silent. The greatest form has no fixed shape. The deepest things are really the loudest. They reveal themselves only if we are willing to wait. That's why I don't think Liu Bai is a concept. I think it's a decision principle. Every time we are tempted to explain too quickly, Liu Bai quietly asks us, do you really know enough to decide yet? Sometimes the wisest thing for you to do actually isn't finding the answer faster, it's leaving a little more space. Space for another possibility, space for another interpretation, space for reality to finish revealing itself. Maybe that's why Chinese paintings never felt empty. They were teaching us not every space needs to be filled, and perhaps not every decision needs to be made immediately. You know, when I started making Chinese brain stories, I was thinking I was making videos only about China, about Chinese culture. But sometimes along the way, I gradually realized I wasn't really studying China anymore. I was discovering and also learning actually different ways of thinking that have shaped thousands of billions of people make decisions for thousands of years. And I think that's a much more interesting story. So beginning next week, this series is changing. Chinese brain stories will become China origins. Not because we are leaving China behind, but because I want to spend less time telling stories about China and spend more time exploring the ideas that still shape China today. If ChinaOS helps us make better decisions, then China origins helps us understand where those decisions begin. I'll see you there.